We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
All right, we are live.
All right, welcome. Hey, Ian.
Thank you for having me.
Glad we're excited.
Is it feeling like summer yet in Texas?
It is creeping up to the 80s in Texas. The blue bonnets are out, which is the first real sign of spring. Actually, it's still kind of up and down. It'll be 65 one day, but yeah, I think we're headed to the hot days pretty close.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And as our listeners might know, you are my brother. However, we wanted to have you on here mostly not just because you're my brother, but because you are really the leader, the mastermind behind getting Community Bucket in Austin going. And we wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today and how that journey has been for you so far. But maybe just to start, you obviously don't do Community Bucket full-time. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about what you do and kind of the journey from teaching to real estate to now local TikTok star and social media guru.
Yeah. Well, I started as a elementary school teacher after college, taught for 5 years in Atlanta. After 5 years, moved to Austin, Texas, where I taught elementary school for 2 years. And in the midst of that, over one of the summers, actually summer 2014, I got my real estate license. And in summer 2015, jumped into it full time. So got rolling with that. I moved here with my now wife, then girlfriend, then fiance. Now we're married. And since then, we've had 2 girls. We have a 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old. And she acts like she's, a teenager at this point. And then we have a 4-month-old, which right now we're kind of in the thick of it with, a lot of sleepless nights over here. So powering through, but yes, full time now in real estate. And I run my own business here, which Austin, Texas is an insane real estate market, which I know we're going to get more into, like where Community Bucket came into it amidst all of that. But yeah, the beauty of it, I really wanted to start Community Bucket here right when I moved. But as a teacher, I just had such limited time where I wasn't in the classroom or at school or grading papers. So it wasn't until I got into real estate and had a little more freedom that I was able to get Community Bucket up and rolling here.
Yeah, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about kind of like why did you decide to start Community Bucket, or maybe share a little bit about like the first few months, kind of what did that look like getting it started with that transition?
Yeah, well, the why behind it is, I think I was at the very first Community Bucket where there were about 5 of us painting a house in downtown Atlanta. And at that point, it was still just kind of an idea, and was able to watch it grow. I was able to attend a few of the events throughout the time I was living in Atlanta while I was there. And I just saw kind of the whole idea of it just makes sense. People want an outlet to, give back to the community. A lot of people don't know how to go about it or where to go, or they don't want to show up to an event alone. So, giving this community where you can show up with like-minded people, your age, you have similarities, and give back to the community, and then do something. I remember one of the projects, we went to a Braves game after doing a landscaping project on the green belt. So just seeing the whole, start to finish of that in Atlanta got me excited about doing it in Austin. And we kind of had a trial run in 2018?
Katie was born, right?
It was right before Katie was born, because I remember Callie was pregnant for my wife was pregnant for one of the park cleanup events. But yeah, so it must have been 2017. And it was kind of a trial. We saw there was interest. And then we went all of 2018, and toward the end of 2018, in about October, I was like, all right, we really need to go full force with this. And we had I would say our first official big event in February of 2019.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit, why, obviously you're in Austin, you were here, you saw it. Why do you think service made social mission is needed in Austin? I mean, you're there, but why, share a little bit about why Austin and why service made social there.
Well, there's a lot of pride in Texas in general, a lot of pride in Austin. People really do love the city. And with that comes, how do you help out beyond yourself? How do you help with park cleanups and at dog shelters and at food banks? A lot of people just are so interested in Austin, and they're in a lot of people are interested in giving back in Austin, but there's also such a big presence of, millennial age group, kind of that, I guess now, I don't know where Gen Z starts, but, the 20 to, I guess, 40 age group in Austin it's such a desirable place for people to move. And, when you move to a new city, you want to meet other people. And what better way to do that than, to show up and do a volunteer project with them, and then get to hang out after. And we've seen the evolution of Community Bucket. I mean, we obviously it's on a much larger scale in Atlanta, but in Austin, in the time we've been able to do it, but really before COVID, we've seen a lot of the following grow, and a lot of people returning, coming back to, volunteer again and see the people that they hung out with the month prior.
Yeah, we love hearing about the traction and the growth. That's one thing. Could you tell maybe about an early win, early on what worked, or perhaps a setback? Maybe you can share a little bit of both, just your experiences.
Well, our first true event was the Love Your City event in 2019. And we opened 30 spots for it. And the volunteer coordinator said, 30 is good. We could handle more, but 30 is plenty. And we were able to fill those spots. I don't remember how long, just because it was a couple of years ago. I don't remember how long it took, but all of a sudden we had 30 spots filled. And we were like, well, let's see if we can open up more. So we contacted them. They said, yeah, we could bump it up to 35. Bumped up to 35, and 5 more people signed up. And it was like the demand was there. Which was encouraging, because this was our first event. We didn't know we were afraid that no one would show up, and it would just be the 4 of us that were running it, or at that time 3 of us. But yeah, I think that was the first big win. Setbacks have been in Austin, especially in the spring. Weather. Atlanta gets a lot of rain too, but we've had a few events that got rained out, and we had to reschedule, and then the reschedule got rained out. So that's always kind of a tough thing to balance with volunteer events when they're outside. And in Austin, it's actually kind of been a little harder to find nonprofits that can support large groups that know what they're doing, that are able to kind of guide us and set up a project for us.
Yeah, I remember visiting, I guess it was 2019, Ian, that one river cleanup where we lasted about 20, 30 minutes, and everybody was chewed up in mosquito bites and sweat profusely. But
yeah, we did get to go to a restaurant after that. However, I was getting pictures texted to me after the fact of people that had welts on their arms and legs from the mosquito bites in the jungle that we were kind of thrown into.
Yeah, it was unpleasant, but it was a good bonding experience. Everybody was ready to get the beef after. I know that. Can you tell us, Ian, a little bit about, obviously we put a lot of our programs, official events on hold since the start of COVID, but I know you guys have done some cool things down there, donation drives and things like that. But maybe just tell us a little bit about what what the Austin community has been up to during COVID.
Yeah, well, COVID was tough. Obviously, we kind of thrive on in-person gatherings, large group gatherings. So not having that made it kind of difficult. We started right away with that. We kind of had a virtual initiative, and we did a diaper drive, because there's several nonprofits here that, believe it or not, diapers are a huge part of what they're able to give to the community, and there's a huge need for it. So we were able to set up a diaper drive. We had a few different groups that were doing some other projects here and there. Even at that time, with some businesses closed, thinking of ways to volunteer, but also to support local small businesses. So we talked about, writing reviews for your favorite local restaurant or local bar, or just things or buying a gift card at that time when they were shut down, they couldn't sell anything. We were scrambling to find ways to support them. And, since then, a couple months ago we brainstormed the idea for like the Love Your City bingo game, which the ultimate goal was to just give people a choice board of ideas of ways to give back that didn't require too much. Some required more than others, but just little ways to give back to, first responders, to local nonprofits, and to some of the businesses here that need our help to stay afloat.
Yeah, that's one thing you guys have done such a good job of getting a lot of the local sponsors for raffle prizes and things like that. I know you've brought in a lot of, whether it's from distilleries or Richard's Rainwater. It's been a great order keeping volunteers hydrated. So continue to crush it down there. Let's transition a little bit away from Community Bucket and more just a little bit about I know you love Austin. One of the things I always ask myself, and people listening to us that aren't in Austin might wonder, why the hell is everybody moving to Austin these days? I know it's great for you in real estate, but maybe just tell us a little bit about what's going on there and why everybody loves it.
Yes, everyone is moving to Austin. It seems like these days, especially from the coasts, from California, from New York, Florida. I think the draw to Austin is that you're going to get good weather all year round. Obviously, we had our freak winter, like vortex storm in February, where the whole city was shut down for a week and people lost, we were at our house without running water for 5 days. Those freak events happen, but for the most part, you're going to have warm weather where you can be outside. A lot of people don't think of Texas as green, but Austin is very green. There's a lot of trails. There's a lot of, they call them greenbelt trails along the rivers and creeks, and there's so much to do outdoors, as well as there's the Colorado River runs through downtown Austin. It's known as Lady Bird Lake, but there's several other lakes in and around Austin that you can rent a boat, skiing, tubing, all that fun stuff. There's just so many opportunities to be outdoors. It's a very active city. When you go down to the trail downtown, there's people are fit, people are out exercising, and then you throw in the whole entertainment and food scene. It's I could go to a different restaurant every single time I go out to eat and never come close to trying all of them. So there's just a lot of great things about Austin. And on an economic level, you've got a lot of job growth here. So big companies in the last year, we've seen Tesla and Apple and Google all coming or expanding offices here in Austin. So it's just there's a lot of reasons for people to come move here.
It's growing a lot like Atlanta, starting from a little bit smaller place.
Growing up here.
Yeah. I guess all three of our cities are the booming cities, which is good for Community Bucket and good for everything else. So I know you've also been you've been at the podcast for probably over a year now, your own podcast.
2 years.
2 years? Oh, wow. So can you tell us a little bit about what that podcast is about and how that has been, as well as your TikTok? I'm still just fascinated by your TikTok presence and how that all works.
Yeah, we'll start with the podcast. That was an idea. A couple coworkers of mine, we were discussing at the beginning of 2019, and we said, how can we do a podcast? We'll interview people around Austin, local business owners, influencers, just people we say making an impact in Austin. And we started it. We were trying to come up with a way to just make it different other than let's just interview a business owner. So we came up with the concept, what's Brewing ATX? And each week we drink and talk about a local beer, wine, or liquor. And that has evolved because eventually we started running out of options. That kind of evolved into, the local sparkling water companies and coffee and smoothie restaurant or smoothie places. So we've kind of expanded that. It also, depending on our guests, if our guest doesn't drink, we'll cater to them. But we really just made it as a fun time to like kick back on a Thursday afternoon and, take a break from our day-to-day job, have someone cool share their story, and then help promote if they have a business or they have some of their a product they're trying to sell or whatever, a nonprofit. We try to give them exposure and build awareness about them. Awesome. And then the TikTok thing is, I don't know if do you guys know who Gary V is? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big social media guy. And he's been talking about TikTok for a couple of years now. And I explored it really at the beginning of COVID. I was consuming TikTok. I wasn't creating on TikTok. And part of that was strategic, so I can see what what kind of posts people are doing. So I just took it as a fun way to share education about real estate in general and Austin. So I make ridiculous videos, 15 seconds or less on TikTok and just put them out there. I kind of have this alter ego that when you create a TikTok video, Jesse actually, when he was here a few weeks ago, I think he was in the shower or something, and I had an idea pop into my head. So I ran into my office because I have a ring light in here, and I started recording the video, and he walked in while I was doing some like ridiculous thing. He was like, "What are you doing right now?" So I don't know, it's a way for me to kind of be creative and funny as well, but also educate.
Don't worry.
It's perfect.
Link to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely add
notes.
JC, when we were kids, we would do a lot of these like weird, Ian would mostly come up with the weird voices or little videos, and I would record them. So you found a way to turn that into a business generator and marketing tool, which is great.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's super exciting.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, if I could create a video and get business from it, like why not create and it's free, free marketing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Any quick tip for us? This is obviously a new endeavor for us with this podcast and new to Community Bucket, but anything that you've learned from the 2 years of doing podcasts, a piece of advice?
Keep recording, keep finding people there's enough people out there for 1,000 episodes, if you expand far enough. So I would say keep recording. We were in a groove as COVID hit, we were about to interview Gary Keller, which is the guy who started the company Keller Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was pushed to March, and then March, beginning of March last year, when everything went nuts, it got postponed and we haven't done it yet, but keep recording, because what I've found is when a lot of new podcasts come, on the market, on the air, whatever, they'll have, 5, 10, 12 episodes, and then it's done. So just continuing to be consistent with it, I would say, is the biggest thing we've learned with just continuing to record. We're, I think, at about 62 or 63 episodes at this point.
Wow.
That's exciting. Aspirational for us. Very cool.
Yeah, just keep doing it.
Keep on recording. All right. Well, I think we're coming up on time here, but why don't you tell us, Ian, anybody who's listening, who's either in Austin or, if you have friends or family down in Austin who would benefit from Community Bucket, how can people get involved if they're not already involved, and anything else that's coming up on everybody should be aware of?
Yeah. Getting involved is super easy. We're not doing events as often as we were, I guess in 2019, or what we had planned for last year, which was monthly events. Right now, we're kind of looking at quarterly, but to get involved, you could either go to communitybucket.com and look at the Austin tab and sign up for our mailing list, which you'll get all the updates. You could check out our Instagram at communitybucket_, or is there an underscore in there? communitybucket_ATX, I believe. If not, just look up Community Bucket ATX. If you want to reach out to me directly, I don't know if you guys are going to put a link to my Instagram is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's at realestate_ATX, and just mention that you're interested in Community Bucket, and we'll make sure that you're aware of upcoming events. We're in talks right now with Austin Parks Foundation about a park cleanup in May that we're still working on. They didn't have an exact location. They have a few locations they know they need volunteers at, but they don't know exactly which one for that weekend. So be on the lookout for some event details coming up in May for a park cleanup.
Yeah, they may already be live by the time this airs, so you never know. We'll put those in the show notes too.
For sure.
Well, we, of course, this is called We Dig Community. So we obviously dig community. What do you dig? We'd love to just hear, to wrap it up. What do you dig?
I dig food.
Yes.
Yes. I love food. I love just going around Austin, trying different restaurants. Wings are probably my big thing. So if anyone that knows me knows I'm obsessed with wings and making them, trying different restaurants, experimenting with them. So Jesse, did we do that while you were here? I can't remember.
We didn't make wings, but we didn't make. No.
Okay.
That's
I couldn't remember. Well, I've made them a couple times in the past few months, but food, traveling is big, which that's probably the biggest thing that we've missed as a family, over the last year, is not being able to travel at all. And a lot of our travel, since we have family elsewhere, is visiting family, but still just getting out and exploring is another one of our favorite things to do.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get back to it soon. You never know. And we just appreciate you being available to chat today. We're excited about what's happening in Austin, and we're just thankful for your time and excited to see how you continue to invest in the Atlanta Community Bucket community. So thank you.
Awesome.
And I'll give a shout out to Kelly, Ayanna, and Matt, who are also on the host team in Austin, who I know put in a lot of as well.
I know I kind of brushed over the actual launch of Community Bucket. But
their episode.
Yeah, but yes, Kelly Jimenez, Macatozy, Ayanna Weber have all been huge in getting Community Bucket up and running here, getting their friends out, getting events and the socials scheduled and planned. So it's been nice to have a good group that's passionate about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a team that really, it's not just one person. And I mean, we know that, and you know that, and we'll probably give them a shout out as well in the notes. So we are excited to talk again. I'm sure we'll have you or someone back, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank you. We'll see you.